Okay, so hi everyone. So we will continue the same discussion about COVID and its vaccination and updates. So Dr. Khalid will go ahead, and if you want to share your screen, you are all set. Thank you, everyone. In the meantime, I just want to update you that Rubaba uh, just the update that Rubaba and her group resubmitted the abstract, which is good. Good news. Good luck.
Thank you. We need it. It was a
Yeah.
rush, like rushing to the deadline. But
That's all right.
yeah, hopefully they reach back for more details so we can write a better
The
discussion.
deadline was yesterday or today?
Yesterday, the 8th, for the abstract to be printed in their March journal. But we do still have until February, I think, 13 or something, for the presentation. So if there is any issue with this one, we still have the opportunity for presentation.
Okay, all right. Sounds good.
Mhm.
Hi, I have a question
Hi,
for
Ali.
Lubaba.
Yeah,
Is it the final abstract or we can modify it?
we can modify that.
Yeah.
I think we need to add some references and then maybe edit some of the content a little bit, but yeah.
Yes, I agree. I was like, as I told you, Ali,
Mm.
on the text, maybe you didn't see it. I was like trying to gain more time, just submitting before the deadline so they can reach back for details.
Sure.
Unfortunately, we didn't have enough time to write a bit better discussion, but hopefully they can reach back.
Okay, I see. Thank you.
All right, thanks.
All right, Khalid, when you are ready, we can start.
Yes, yeah, I'm ready. You see my screen?
No, maybe I'll. Try again.
Okay, now.
Yes.
Hello everyone. I'm presenting this evolution of COVID-19 instead of my colleague Khalid Osman. We following the evolution of COVID-19 from March 2020 to June 2020, and during this time there are many things happening and people started to learn about COVID-19. Some news, people they look at it as a beacon of hope for resolution for this pandemic or this viral disease, and also at the same time there are some frustrating results, but people working tirelessly to find solution to this unprecedented pandemic. During the month of March,
Khalid,
or
Khalid,
yes,
can you press on present so that presentation will be shown instead of the slide?
sorry,
On the right, upper right, go to present. Yes, on the go to the right here.
I can't see this.
You see your mouse, go to the right, just hit on present so that it will, the slide will be in presentation mode. Yep.
Here. Dr. Nader, I don't see this.
Next to the share icon.
The yellow icon or button on the upper right corner, there is a yellow share.
Oh,
next to your image. Just
all right.
present.
Okay.
Yeah,
Yes.
present.
Okay.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay.
Sorry for that, but it's.
Yeah. So you see my screen now?
Yeah, just hit present and it will make it larger.
Okay.
Here we go.
All right. Thank you. So at the beginning of March, the total cases reported of COVID-19 were 91,000 worldwide. And the WHO has not yet declared it as a pandemic, and the government's responses all over the world were hesitant and indecisive, and many countries reported their first case. On March 11 of the same year, WHO declared COVID-19 as a global pandemic, and this was the biggest news at that time. And on the 17th, University of Minnesota begins testing hydroxychloroquine. Most of the evolution of the COVID-19, it happened during the month of March. People started to learn concerning the treatment and some other political move or declaration or responses. So on March 18th, the WHO and other partners launched a solidarity trial, which is an international effort, a clinical trial that aims to generate a robust data from around the world to find the most effective treatment for COVID-19. On the 19th of March, China declares 0 new cases. Between the week of March 22nd to March 29th, nearly 1/3 of the world's population is living under coronavirus-related restrictions. And the WHO warns there is a significant shortage of medical supplies, and probably all of you remember the shortage of personal protective equipment. Later on March, the FDA issues an emergency authorization for hydroxychloroquine sulfate and chloroquine phosphate products to be donated to the strategic national stockpile and donated to the hospitals to treat patients with COVID-19. It was revoked later on June. So this is like the milestones of our knowledge and evolution of the virus during the months of March, and the early response from the scientific communities, political and other health organizations. On the month of April, global coronavirus cases passes the 1 million mark, and this exceeds, unfortunately, 50,000. April 4th, without scientific evidence, President Donald Trump endorsed this malaria drug hydroxychloroquine as an effective coronavirus treatment. On the 14th of April, hydroxychloroquine is deemed ineffective as a treatment against coronavirus. April 22nd, Germany approves the first trial for a coronavirus vaccine. On April 28th, the FDA once again is the use of hydroxychloroquine and anti-malarial drugs touted by President Donald Trump as coronavirus treatment. On the 28th of the same month, US records over 1 million coronavirus cases, and a new study reports that cancer patients are nearly 3 times more likely to die of COVID-19 than non-cancer patients. Approaching end of month of April, on the 29th, National Institute of Health trials shows early promise for antiviral medication, remdesivir. On the month of May, there was a collaboration between the United States and the pharmaceutical company AstraZeneca to form a vaccine deal. Trump administration and AstraZeneca announced this collaboration to speed development of COVID-19 vaccine called AZD1222. And Human Health Services says it expects the first doses to be available as early as October of 2020. Phase 3 clinical studies are underway this summer. Approaching end of May, US COVID-19 deaths pass, unfortunately, 100,000 mark. From May to June, week of May 30th to June 6th, countries begin to reopen cautiously, and the WHO says pandemic far from over as daily cases hit record high. Lockdown measures are estimated to have prevented 50 million COVID-19 related deaths worldwide. On June 10th, US COVID-19 cases hits 2 million, and new infections continues to rise in 20 states. Cases begin to spike as the states ease social distancing restrictions. Virus transmission and mask. From March to June, masks were not mandatory in many parts of the world, and data were lacking that regular surgical mask and close homemade mask reduce transmission. Now we know for sure that masks confer more than 50% protection against the virus. We also know that the main transmission method is through respiratory droplets, not airborne, as we initially thought, although in closed spaces, the virus can be transmitted via air. Masks are still potent as a mean of protection. Lessons from government response. Evidence is now clear in both restrictions on gatherings and flight were effective in reducing the transmission significantly. The obstacle in employing these restrictions was economic turn down associated with these restrictions, and pandemics remain the major threat we may face in the future more than any other potential natural disasters. We must equip the general public with knowledge regarding viral transmissions. Concerning the vaccines, the speed of vaccine which developed effective vaccines was unprecedented, and only in a few months several clinical trials has started, and now we have at hand 3 proven vaccines. We still may face obstacles in distributing the vaccines. Thank you for your listening, and if you have any questions or if you want to add anything, you're welcome.
Thank you so much, Khalid, and that was excellent from you and your team. Excellent presentation, excellent information. Thank you for sharing. So, any comments, any addition, any questions to Khalid or his team? Khalid, you can stop sharing.
Okay.
Look, please, thank you.
Okay.
So go ahead, someone was trying, Ali, go ahead.
Yes. Thank you, Khalid, and thanks for the green team. I want to ask about the mask. Does the cloth mask effective or nearly equally effective to surgical mask, or is there any data regarding the 3-layer, 1-layer, and so on cloth mask? Thank you.
Um, Thank you, Ali, for the question. Honestly, I have no any knowledge about the differences between different design of different masks about their level of protection. But apparently, from the data available, yes, mask. I think of all kinds are effective in preventing the transmission of the virus. Thank you.
Thank you, Khalid.
Thank you. Before Mohan asks his question, I want just to add there are a couple of things here to think about. The mask is used for the user to prevent him from sharing his cough or sneezing, so he's not spreading whatever he has. So that's from the mask wearer or the one who uses the mask. And then on the other side, if you want to prevent yourself from someone else and using the mask, then this is prevention from others. So you are preventing yourself from others. So it's kind of from you to others one way, and from others to you is the other way. The first type is preventing from you to others. Any type can help reduce the amount shared significantly. If you have ways to prevent that, that would be great, sneezing or coughing or something like that. So this is why it says surgical mask can be used, a piece of cloth can be used, or N95 can be used just to reduce the amount. How different between the layers if you want to use cloth? That depends, I think, on the matrix or the material that you are using, and the virus is very, very small. It can still spread, but the amount will be less than without the mask. Compared to the mask that you use when you prevent others from getting or giving you the virus, then all this except N95 will not be of great use, because it still, if you have the mask and someone is infected, let's say a surgical mask, and he talks to you or coughs to you, this is not going to prevent the virus from coming inside if you inhale, unless it's N95, or there are a couple of other like N99 or some other type of mask that prevent very smaller viruses or particles. So I just want to clarify these 2 points. Thank you. Mulham, if you want to ask your question, please go ahead.
Assalamu alaikum. I want to say thank you, Khalid, for the presentation. I don't have a specific question, but I want to say thank you for what you did in terms of the structure of your presentation. It was well summarized about what happened between March to June, and it was easy to see the slides and clear. And if I'm just gonna say this thing, which is I wanted to see you during the presentation, which was would have added more excitement to your energy during presentation, because I felt that's the only thing missing during the slides. You were reading it, feeling more relaxed. Nobody's seeing you, but if you were seen, probably that would have resulted in more anxiety in you, and you would have been more energetic, and that would have been just the addition there. But it's a great presentation, really. And yeah, one paragraph you had, I noticed it was a paragraph, which was the lessons from government response. It was really big, about 7 sentences. It's better if you could have subdivided it into 2 or 3 bullet points for you and for us. As I noticed that you went for 1 or 2 points of them and then left it. So it would have been much easier for you and the audience for such situations. That's it, really. Thank you very much, really, Khalid, and for your team.
Thank you, Mulhim, thank you, Mulhim, for this great points. And I will apply them like what you mentioned in my next presentations, and I will convey this also to my colleague and my team. Thank you.
Excellent. Thank you for sharing. Wael has a question or comment. Please go ahead.
Yes, assalamu alaikum. Hello, everybody. Thank you. I wanted to thank you, Khalid, for the presentation. Very nice and well organized. The sequence of events are very well organized. I just have one question. You mentioned hydroxychloroquine. You haven't mentioned dexamethasone. I just wanted to know if like anyone, Khalid or anyone, know when they first used dexamethasone for COVID-19, and is there if they're still using it and it's effective or not. Thank you.
You are muted, Dr.
You're
Nader.
mute, Dr. Nader.
Thank you, Wael, and Khalid, please feel free, or anyone, to answer this great question.
Thank you, Wael. Honestly, I have no knowledge about when dexamethasone was first used in COVID-19 protocol or management. If anyone know anything, welcome to share your information. Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone wants to add? Elaborate. So here's the thing. When the COVID entered the US, they started to think about using the steroids in general, but because of previous studies or previous experience in the past with viruses, they thought it might be harmful to use the steroids while patient is in inflammatory condition, or the reaction of the virus, the body to the virus. So most of the, I'd say, health educator said no to using the steroids initially. And then I think later in the summer, they started to say, oh, maybe it will be beneficial. The risk might be not that great. So they tried it, and they found it's useful. So they started using it, dexamethasone and other type of steroids. But yeah, anyone else you want to add or share? Or Lubaba has a question.
Yes, thank you so much for a great presentation, Khalid. It was very concise and informative, and as Wael mentioned, it's like following the sequence and everything. I just want to add one point that I think what helped a lot with the pandemic was the lockdown, and you can see the different kind of governmental regime effect on that. In China, for example, by the time that the world started like talking about the pandemic, they started reporting lower cases. Yes, they were having some dictatorship there, but more liberal countries suffered at the end of this pandemic. So the importance of good leadership and government has really impacted in these kind of disasters and pandemics. But thank you so much. It's a great presentation.
One more note also is, when compared to US to South Korea, for instance, they started not only the lockdown and the prevention measurement, but also the case tracing. So whenever there is a positive case, they go back and see who was in contact with that person, and all of them will be guaranteed or some measurement, so that they can prevent others from contributing also to the infection or the pandemic in their cases. So they have very few cases and very few deaths because of all this system approach prevention methods. Marwa has a question. Go ahead.
First, I would like to thank Khalid for the presentation. I just wanted to add one point. I was looking here at the use of dexamethasone in COVID-19, and it was mentioned that the result, due to the impressive results of the recovery trial, the use of dexamethasone was established, especially in patients who needed oxygen, actually. And it was effective and reduced mortality in this category of patients, while on the other hand, those who didn't need oxygen, actually, though it was controversial, its use might be harmful. There was not like the evidence was more towards using it in patients who needed oxygen and mechanical ventilation. So just wanted to add that. Thanks.
Thank you, Marwa.
Okay, I want to add something.
Yes, please.
I think, yeah, I was seeing the same thing, I think what Marwa have mentioned. So as COVID-19 can develop is, like systemic inflammatory response, and it basically lead to a lung injury and multi-system organ dysfunction. So there are some clinical trial, it has been proposed that corticosteroid have a potent anti-inflammatory effect. So it might prevent or like mitigate this deleterious effect. So this is a randomized clinical trial, and also the people who have like safety and efficacy of the combination of the therapy with like antiviral or hydroxychloroquine with this steroid, it seems like it can target and it can prevent that severe lung injury, but it's on the clinical trial because it is so much too unknown for COVID still. But I think it's a combination when a patient is severe lung injury or patient, or mechanical ventilation, ventilator or oxygen. The most important thing is I think it decreases the mortality for those patients by preventing kind of multi-organ failure. But I don't think so for a regular use, let's say like mild to moderate COVID, I think it is still unknown that how it works. That's all.
Thank you, Somi and Marwa. Any other questions or any other comments? Please go ahead. Marwa is still raising hand, or Azza, go ahead.
Hello, everybody. Thank you, Khalid, for the presentation, and thank you for your team also. And thank you for also like bringing us back to the start of the COVID. And it was not only health dilemma, I believe also political and a lot of issues were involved. And I was just want to mention maybe or a question about the antibody treatment. It was going on for a while for giving patients the antibody of the recovered COVID. And they were reporting that it cut the hospitalizations period into half. And I was wondering why they're not following on that. Or I know there is a lot of logistical issues, like how to treat the patient early enough before he's even like being severely ill. But I just wanted to like know your perspectives about that. Thank you.
Thank you, Lubaba, Marwa, Sumi, and Azza for the great questions and the information you shared. Unfortunately, Azza, yes, I know this happened as well. using the antibodies or to treat patients or other forms of treatment. I didn't look into this to add into the slides, and as I mentioned, my colleague Khalid, he's supposed to present this, but unfortunately he was sick, and I took over, and we apologize for if there's any deficiency or if this happened during the times that our presentation cover. But I will look into it, and I will share the information with you in the WhatsApp group. Thank you.
Thank you, Khalid. No need to apologize. I was just raising the issue for everybody to maybe have their perspective, but thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Azan, Khalid. So there are 2 points. One is the antibody itself, and before that, the plasma transfusion or use of plasma from patients who are infected or were infected to prevent or to treat patients with the virus. So there were, I think, early in the summer, and then after that started the trial of using plasma transfusion, and then it came the idea about using antibodies. So I think maybe next week when the next team will present, might have, if they can focus on that, that would be great to answer your question. That's a great question. Thank you, Azza. Someone else has a question, I think. Red team can present it next week. Yeah. So great. Any other addition or questions? So great. Thank you, everyone. And thank you, Khalid, and your team for this great presentation. It's very important to know how this developed and the history and the political aspect. And hopefully we can learn from it in the future. Great. Thanks. Now we can move on to the next section of the meeting. Any updates about your interviews or tips or any sharing? Any information about what's happening with these programs nowadays? So it's early in January, so hopefully we will hear more interviews coming your ways in the coming days and weeks. Mulham, you want to add? Please go ahead.
Yeah, I want to share that a couple of days ago, the committee for NRMP mentioned the SOAP for this year to be different. They added a 4th day. So this is different from every year, which shows that they are expecting more programs to enter into SOAP, which is a good thing, which confirms that there's some form of a chaos from the start to the end right now. And still there's many who are having interviews. Some of my friends got their first interviews during this last 3 weeks, actually. I know 2 who pre-matched, alhamdulillah. So this is a really positive thing. They had only 2 interviews. One of them was pre-match, and they said, we don't have a chance there. But they did well, alhamdulillah, and they got pre-match. So anything can happen, really. Nobody can know what happened. We should give our best and then just leave it onto God's hand. And inshallah, we will get it in this year. We should be ready for the SOAP from now, just to make sure what are the SOAP. Every year there's about a good number of programs. Some of them every year enter the SOAP, especially the new programs. We need to be ready. What are the new programs? What do they need? Do we know someone there? We need to prepare everything from now. The one who is more prepared, they are the ones who get the invites, and they are the one who will be taken. So just that's one thing. But then again, we need to also still contact people, because there is some positions that are started to be opening in some programs based on their suspicious about they have the best candidates. Based on the RMP message, they said the best candidate that you think you have and your rank, they're mostly not going to rank you because you got almost the same candidate in multiple programs like the American grads and others. So right now they're very scared. They're going to rank almost all the people in their ranking list, and they're going to add more invites. And this is why some are getting invites in the last 3 weeks. And I think still, because almost all my friends told me they have up to February. So for this year, it's different. Usually they stop by January, mid-January. Now up to February, up to the end. Now ranking starts 1st of February. So this is an exception year. Anything can happen. So we still need to work up to the end of February and then start. SOAP should restart from now also. So everything should be started from now up to then, inshallah. Inshallah to work very well. And yeah, that's all I got to say. And good luck for us all, inshallah.
Excellent. Thank you for sharing, Mulham. Completely agree with you. Ali, go ahead.
Yes, I have a question for Mulham, actually. What did you mean by pre-match? And also, if you can talk more about SOAP. Thank you.
Yeah, sure, Ali. Thank you for the question. Okay, the pre-match is there are certain programs. For example, in internal medicine, there's over 10, I think 10 to 15 programs which are pre-match. Those programs every year they place. So programs are allowed to, based on RMP, either one of two, either place order position or spots in the pre-match, which is offering you a contract immediately after your invite, maybe a week or 2 or 3 weeks after. Usually it's within the first 2 weeks after the invite. And the other type of the match, which is our match itself, which is based on the NRMP, which is we first apply by the ERAS application and then submit or pay a certain fee to the NRMP website, and then we rank the programs in the NRMP. The programs also, they're gonna have their own process, which is similar to us, which is they're gonna rank us, and based on our position and based on their position, where they placed us there, we're gonna be matched accordingly. So that's the NRMP, that's the match that everyone goes for, but there's some who are pre-match, which is outside the match itself. So every program, for example, pediatrics has their own, family medicine, they have their own. And then the main aim of the programs is to either completely in or completely out. So all or none applies here in this process. So the good thing about it is you're done. If you did it well in your pre-match, they like you, they offer you a contract, you sign it, and that's it, you're out. You confirm your position for the next year. So I know my friends who got it, so halas, they're done from the process. Even though one had over 15 invites, mashallah, but still said, I don't want anything, I just want a match, because that's a goal. So regardless of the number of invites, our goal is to match. So he matched, he knows that next year, inshallah, he will start. He was offered a contract, and that's it. That's the pre-match. And many prefer just to end it if they have the position to do that. And your second question was based on the SOAP. For the SOAP, I would mention some points about it, but it's better to have it in complete presentation. I was planning to do a presentation about it, but a bit later, so that it's closed, so that everyone is fresh with the knowledge there, somewhere mid of February or beginning of February, if everyone agrees. But I will say that the SOAP basis is based on certain programs that don't get filled. Mostly they are new programs, and some programs which are considered to be, just like for this year, there are usually the community programs. Universities not commonly entering into such situations. If it happens this year, it will be the first year since many years. So community programs, they're the most likely to happen. And even during the SOAP process, the majority, based on the NRMP data, it shows that most are taken are American graduates. So it's preference for American graduates. Secondly, international American graduates with green cards or visa, it makes sense, as they need someone who's ready. And then someone who's, but then again, the percentages are very low for international American graduates in comparison to American graduates, like 50%. or more than 50%, or actually it's close to 70 to 80% of the positions goes towards American graduates. So the remaining is 10 to 20%, which is subdivided between Caribbean grads and international grads. So it's not really a big number of positions left to everyone. But this is the good thing about this year. The number of positions is expected to be more. Last year, I think it was 2,000, 2,100 or something like that. This year, it will be probably double that number. So the chances are more. We need to be more active for those positions and know who we know in the program, because if we know somebody, we are more likely, because they want someone who's definitely a good candidate. And from their knowledge, they know that American grads are the best based on their credentials. That's why 7 to 8% goes immediately to the SOAP. There's less time for interviews. They have like 10 minutes, 15 minutes interviews, and that's it. And then they would send in every, there's like different timings. So if you finish first time for the first SOAP, there's like 4 days. The first day, or it's not 4 days, but there's like 4 rounds. That's what they say. So every year there's 3 rounds. The round 1, which is when it finishes, there's a deadline. Immediately, they give it like an hour where program is gonna send the invite or to accept the position or the offer. So some will get the offer, some after the invite won't get the offer. Then you enter into second round and then third round. By that, it ends usually. For this year, there's 4 rounds, so there's more number of positions, more offers to be expected. So hopefully it goes well. And inshallah, we'll discuss it more in a couple of weeks from now. I hope that answers your question, Ali. Thank you.
Yes, thank you. Thank you very much, Mulham. Actually, I agree with you that we might need a presentation with regards to SOAP. And maybe if it's urgent, we can postpone our COVID. What do you think, Dr. Nader?
If Ali, thank you, Ali. If Mulham, you can present right away, I think maybe next week will be a good thing. How long you think that will take? Because if it will take 15-20 minutes, I don't think we need to change things around. If it takes longer than that, maybe we can postpone the COVID update, and then we can do that the week after.
I'm expecting it to take about probably 20 to 30 minutes. Also, there's some questions will be probably asked based on the SOAP process. So yeah, I think it will be more.
Okay,
yeah.
why don't we postpone then for next week? If you can prepare that, that would be great. Then we can ask the team who is going to present next week to postpone for the week after.
Okay, I'll prepare it.
Okay, sounds good.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, Ali. Thank you, Mulham. That's great.
Also, I want to, also I want to add, I have some materials concerning the SOAP for people to be ready and just to take a look at it, if to be familiar with the process and how to do these things, and also to benefit as much as possible from Mulham presentation when we come to that. Thank you.
That would be great also. Thank you, Khalid. Excellent. Any other additional questions regarding the
Dr. Nader,
interview?
I just wanted
Go
to,
ahead.
like, it's too early. I thought it's too early. Maybe like I'm not sure, but it's better to be like sometimes in February instead of next week, because like everyone need to be fresh with information about the SOAP. It's a bit complicated process. Like if Dr. Mulham presented next week, and the SOAP is going to be sometimes in March, that's going to be so far. This is my opinion. I don't know if anyone else agree.
I'm not sure. There are 2 options, when right away or when later. The benefit of right away next week, I think it will give you a better chance of preparing, obtaining information, looking at what programs goes into that, and maybe find some connections So all this will take some time for you guys. Otherwise, if you want the information about the things itself to be fresh, yeah, I agree. It might be a later. Mulham, what's your input?
Frankly, I was thinking about mid of February, but then again, I think why not doing both? Because it's a really big point here for this year, and it will make a difference. So why not give it right now a start? And I think I understood the point for what you're saying, Dr. Nader, and also Ali, about why not making it a bit earlier, because by this actually we might have understanding better and prepare better for that process, and also understand why else point that why not also have it at the end. So I think that both it will be very well. Right now we can do a tense discussion about it and what to prepare and how to prepare and be ready, and then again refresh somewhere at February or mid or end, so that we were ready and be at the highest level of our peak of prepared, inshallah.
I think that's a great idea. Thank you. Any other comments or questions? Great. Thank you for sharing, and thank you for there is also in the app a video I just uploaded yesterday, I think, or the day before, about some of the questions about the pre-match and other questions collected for the interviews. So if you have a minute, maybe you can look into that. When watching YouTube video, you have the option to run it fast, the speed of the, so you don't have to spend, if it's at 20 minutes, you don't have to spend the whole 20 minutes. You can pass or fast forward, or maybe run the same video with a 2x speed, so that you can just get to the point faster. All right. Azza has some questions or points. Great. Okay. Any other additions? Great. Thank you so much, everyone. So why don't we go to the next part, is about what we have so far and what the plan for the projects. So we have the abstract resubmitted by Lubaba and her team to the AMDA about the COVID and depression and medications. And we need to work on that to just edit some and add some references and so forth. So the next step is to work on identifying who's gonna present, and I don't give task for everyone part to work on that. Do you want to add any, Lubaba or anyone of your team? Please.
Sure, yeah. I think, yeah, we have the reference, the MSU students presentation for their abstract. We're gonna present something similar to that.
Sure.
Yeah, the first submission, we were 3 presenters, but I will discuss with the team whoever feel comfortable presenting. I think we can shuffle things around.
Sounds good.
Mm-hmm.
And also maybe you can make the poster as well, or the PowerPoint poster. Yeah.
Yes, definitely. Mm-hmm.
Anything else on this project?
Just yesterday, trying to analyze the data, I feel like we need some kind of information from the statistic teams, maybe like the basic thing, how to understand their graphs. And do you think Mr. Sharma can come and give us like a lecture or a small?
I want him to do that, or if he's not available, maybe some of the other members in the center. I will try to reach them maybe Monday to see who can give us if he's not available. If he is, it will be great.
Right.
So we will, I think we should work on getting some of the basics of the statistics so that when we get reports, at least we can
Yeah, we'll be able to
understand.
Yep.
That's true. That's great. So that's the next step.
Thank you.
Yes. Great. In the meantime, I want people to think about learning more, maybe refreshing. If you have time to work on some of the videos about the statistics, what test that we need to use and in what situation that we need to use. Some of the videos might help you just to make sure you have some of the backgrounds of this test. If Sharma or the other statistic team will present, it will be easier for you to follow when they are talking about things instead of coming without any preparation. It will be hard for you to follow, and it will be harder for them to go back to the basics of things, and it will take time for them. Just make life easy for all of you guys.
Yeah, that's a great plan. Actually, statistics has been something like, I think a challenge since medical school. So yeah, we do know like the basic stuff, but how to apply and how to interpret that from data and everything. So that would be very helpful. Thank you.
Excellent. And now you have a couple of files with data, so you can play around if there is any concept that you want to. You can use Excel to get some of the basics like t-test, and then you can understand some of the other basics of analysis that might not be able to do with Excel or Google Sheet. But good.
Sure.
Next project or projects. So we are waiting still for the data about, we shared the data with them about the COVID and the hospital data. So I think I need to meet with them also to see what their plan as far as analyzing this, the Excel file that we shared together. Any questions from the group about the projects? Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, so what I understood is we have to submit for American Geriatric Society. Like that's what our plan is, like submit the abstract, which is like deadline is coming, I think this week, like somewhere in Wednesday.
So
yeah, go ahead.
I think we can do it the same way. We can look at the data, just my thinking is if you want to market that so that can be accepted, I think if we look at it and somehow introduce the concept of AI to that, instead of just looking at it and say we think of the risk factor the conventional way of doing things, I think we should put it in a way that we have collected the data. Now we think we should apply some artificial intelligence methods so that we can, in the future, the computer will help us identify who is at risk and who is at in the past they used similar way to get a protocol where the patient comes. If you have, let's say you suspect pneumonia, you have certain things, items, then it will make you decide the patient will go to the ICU or the patient go to the regular floor, or use this antibiotic in case of this, use the different antibiotic, something like that. For us, I think to get it accepted, I think we should turn it around this time. Instead of just reporting we have some data, we want to work on that and analyze it. I think we should say we collected the data and our intention is to start or help with the AI development of protocol to identify who is at risk and who is not, who will go to the ICU, who will not. So the computer will generate this algorithm for us using the data we have. So it's in a way descriptive, using the data just to identify that we are collecting 400 patient information, and we are trying to find the way to integrate that into an AI, and that will get us into what the next step. So this will be as a first step, so that we can jump to the next step. And by that, I want you to change the title so it will be attractive in that sense. So we already have the data from a small hospital, and so if we can change the title so that it can include some word of artificial intelligence there, and I think that might be a good option for them to accept it instead of just plain. What do you think, guys?
So what I understood is like basically we'll be presenting like this is a data for let's say like a cardiovascular risk factor, like patient who have hypertension or like heart failure, history of hypertension, heart failure, and like arrhythmia or something like that. And so we will give them a data, and the artificial intelligence, like based on the patient's data, artificial intelligence will stratify the severity index, and based on that severity index, we can tell the patient is at risk for ICU or like ventilator, mechanical ventilation or something like that. Yeah, I think that is something new and interesting, but of course I have to change the top. I mean, I have to change the title, and then I may have to see like, is there anything already out regarding that thing? Like, did anybody research about it, or is there any artificial software available for that, or something like that? And probably so, but whatever data we have now, before 13 I'm talking about, if let's say if we are not able to contact or communicate with the biostat group before that time, so it's still like should we go through the data and do our best, something like that? You agree? I mean, all of you, I mean.
Asa, raising your hand, go ahead.
Yes, I agree with you, Dr. Nader, on the prospect that it should be on something that to risk stratify or the patients, or categorizing the patients, same as we do like on the hospitalized patient. We have some scores to indicate sepsis when the patient is already hospitalized, like, or the prognosis or mortality. There is already built-in scores for patient based on the heart rate and the blood pressure and so on. That's a great idea, I think, Dr. Nadir. But on how to do that, first of all, we have to change the title, I guess, as Sumi said, and we will see how is the data itself going to be. And Sumi, please, can you like reach out to the team on WhatsApp or create a team on WhatsApp for us to discuss more. I know that you send emails, but I have a problem with emails. I don't check them early enough. So thank you.
Okay, yeah, I will contact because the WhatsApp group is for everyone. So whoever is in that group, the COVID and cardiovascular risk factor, I think send Dr. Nadir also, like whoever is shows interested and email me. So why I choose email, because if I have to send any like files or anything, it is better with the email rather than WhatsApp. So that's why I thought I will start communicating with email than WhatsApp. But of course I can do that, because I think I'm not sure. I was waiting for the data to analyzed by the biostat team. And then I thought we'll have a meeting probably tomorrow or Monday, and then we'll go from there. And that was my idea initially. The whole process, because we already have is abstract, like we already submitted the abstract for EMDA, which was, I guess it's not accepted, but we have to just remodify it a little bit here and there, and based on the data. So I was thinking also that if I can share the data via Google Doc to everyone, and then so anyone, or like via email. I don't think so it is a good idea to share data with a WhatsApp. I think that's not professional. So I'm not sure, but I
The
think it's
data
better.
is, if I may, the data is already on the Excel file in the app. So if
Oh, okay.
we can just refer that to the people, and then
Yeah.
mhm.
Okay, so if any of, I think I'll email our WhatsApp group. I'll email all of you, and we can go from there, and we'll submit it by before 13th. I think that's what Mulham mentioned, the AGS deadline for abstract.
Yes. So if if you complete what I think, if you have time tomorrow, guys, you can, from now till tomorrow, if you can assign some tasks to each one of you. Some will go into the reference, one will go into looking at the data, something like that. And by tomorrow you can come together and discuss how you can change the title, how you can manipulate the data so that you can get some out of the data, maybe a table, maybe a graph, something like, just to help show that you have data and you are using some of the data. And then in the discussion part, I think you can also add some tasks to some of you to work on how you can make it appealing for them to accept. It's a small study, and the data might not be like robust to show, oh yeah, we want you right away. But if you put it in a way that it's a new, like the trend, it will catch their eye.
Yeah, I get it. It makes sense, that artificial intelligence, but I would like to see that, is there similar topics? Is there any research or something, like any software available for that? When I was preparing a couple of weeks ago, the role of artificial intelligence in healthcare, that topics, there was a software I saw that when I was researching that they are trying to, that is like institutional based, like single institutional based software. So they are trying to collect the data, and based on that, they want to, want to know that actually they want to stratify like how many, ventilators they need based on the patient's admission, when they admitted, like in 2 to 3 days. So they're collecting the data for the artificial intelligence software, and they want to stratify as soon as the patient admitted in the hospital with COVID. So I think it is similar, something like that we are trying to.
So the approach might be different. So it could be, the idea is same, but when you present it in a different approach. Let's say same group doing the same thing, but in your case, you can identify only older patients, let's say. So you focus on that, something like that. If you find something, a software that's doing same thing, you say we are collecting this data according to this population, and we think it's supposed to be a unique approach and needs some further investigation as far as this group of patients. And you will not answer the question. Actually, you will raise some questions so that they can say, oh, this is a good idea, we can investigate more, something like that.
Right. I'll just give them an insight for it, and a future opportunity for a research, or for a, like, it's a future opportunity to do something like that, even something like that, probably, right?
Yeah, correct. Yeah. And you can put, if you find some, it should be a few references. If there are something there, you can add them as reference. People are thinking the same way we are thinking.
Right. Or like there are some existing software in a single institution they're using for that. So probably it is it has a future.
It has a future. And so the main goal of each publication is you want to identify a gap, and you want to suggest a solution, and you want to test if this solution is covering that gap.
Right.
So identifying the gap, we know we need something to identify the risk factor in this group. So there is a gap. How we can figure out the right solution, this will be the use of artificial intelligence. This, I think, might be, and it could be for both the cardiovascular and the other project as well.
So it's kind of a quality improvement also, right? Quality improvement project also, right? It will improve the quality probably.
What I suggest is you look at the AGS and see what their themes are. If there is a quality improvement theme that they need you to submit that under, that might be a way. If there is a theme for innovation, that also might be another way.
Okay.
So look at that and taper your according to what they need.
Right. So based on their category where I can submit, I will just put it that way.
I think that's the best way, because it's gonna go to a committee in that section or that specialty, whatever, and then they look from that point of view. So you want to convince them that you work hard on getting some data and you're analyzing the data so that you can generalize that, so that artificial intelligence can be used in that area to help make decisions, something like that. And that will be the next step, is what we go, something.
So is it like, I mean, I think to put it in that way also, we need to analyze the data, right? Let's say the patient who are hypertensive or heart failure, I'm going to tell them that based on my data, it seems the patient who have hypertension and heart failure, I mean, history of heart failure, this patient has a more mortality rate or more, what do you say, like admission, hospital admission, I mean, hospital like mechanical ventilation rate is higher than somebody else. So in order to know that information, I think we have to analyze the data, right? Like, I mean, our existing data.
So the data you can look at, let's say, patient with heart failure and length of stay and ventilation. These are the components that we found in our data, suggesting that will be so used as factors, because our data showed that. And we think artificial intelligence will help if we have a bigger data and people will look the same way to their data.
Right.
Because from our 400, I don't think we can generalize that. It's a valid thing, but it will direct us into doing the same step with bigger data.
Right. Yeah. I mean, I can put some inside that this is a very small group of study, but our data shows that.
Yes.
So it can be used as a large scale data, and people may be interested of doing that, which is great. Something like that.
So in your team, maybe one or two will look into the Excel file and see which one maybe correlate with the longer duration of the hospital stay, which ones connect with ICU, something, which one will connect with death, something like that. And these three, you can put it in your abstract. This is what we found from our data, which is 400. We looked at multiple variables. Mostly we looked at a couple of them, this, something like that. You don't have to really dig into the whole data to present the whole stuff. If you can find three things that you can use, I think that might be just the objective of your abstract for both projects.
So I have an idea, like how about me and Mulham see the data, because I think Mulham is working for the like the leading for the other risk factor. So we both will look for the data, and we can combine the data and make two separate papers. Like for the data, using that data, we'll make two separate papers. One is cardiovascular, one is rest of the risk factor, and then the our other team members from each project can, someone can write the abstract and someone can look for the references, and I can split that to my project. But I think it is easy if me and Mulham can like all together, we can see the data and decide like what are the variables we are going for what paper.
Okay, Mulham, you want to add something? Yes, go ahead, Mulham.
Yeah, I do agree with Somi. Yeah, definitely. We can work on it together.
Great. Good. Any addition, any question, anything about these two projects? The next project about the fall, Blue Baba, I think you shared the file, also the data with your group or the other team.
Yes, actually, Khalid Usman is leading the abstract. Yeah.
Okay, Khalid is not here, but some of his team might be here, or if you can reach to them.
Yes.
I think also that might be a good option to tweak the title so that it can match AGS, whatever theme that close to that. And also we can use some of the data we have, and we can show there is no impact or there is impact or something, as far as just we approach this and our data is small, and we need to investigate this more down the road from other big facilities of data.
Yeah, sure. Actually, I think he did look at the AGS, most likely subject that they will approve or accept, and he has been working on it. So I'll reach back to him and see how far he is in the process. I can help him.
Sounds good. And let me know if I can help you guys. And when we are at the point of submission, because it will cost some, I think $40, 35, something like that. So I will be submitting all the abstract for you guys. Just put the names and give me the file, and then we can work on that together. I will be the submitting person for you.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome. The last project is about the case. How far are we there? If anyone.
You mean the case report, right?
Case report, yes.
Yeah, honestly, I thought like last because last week I asked like maybe we need more information. I was maybe
Oh,
expecting
it's my
something.
fault. It's my fault. I overlooked that. So by the end of the day, I'll give you some information about that, hopefully. Additional information. So it's my fault. I thought
No worries.
let's just.
Otherwise I shared the rest of the information that I have with everyone who like mentioned that they're interested. If anyone wants to join, they just let me know. I can share them from the data or whatever the thing that we have so far. There is no problem. Yeah.
Excellent. And also for that project, I think we can aim at two things. One is if we can manipulate, change the title, change the abstract so that it can match if AGS has some opportunity there. We can match and try to submit it to the AGS. That's
Okay.
one thing.
Mm-hmm.
And the other thing is right away we can try to publish it as a paper, so we can format it into a manuscript where you put everything as if it's going to the journal.
Okay.
And that might take some time to work on that, but at least we can start working on that.
Okay.
Okay. Any other questions or any other comments?
I don't have a comment, but I'm thinking of doing a project for based on nephrology data that we have, kidney.
Sure. Yeah.
Yeah, but I'm just wondering if somebody in the group is interested in doing nephrology project. I'm having hard time finding a title or a gap, and I need someone to help me with literature review. So far, we do have kidney data from Sparrow and the effect of COVID. So there is a lot of papers out there regarding COVID and kidney disease. But whoever is interested, please reach out to me. We can sit down and try to formulate a question. And maybe if we didn't make it to the AGS, we can target like nephrology meetings or anything other. Yeah, meetings for geriatrics.
Excellent. That's a great idea. Ali and Azza, I think you raised your hands.
Yes. I want to ask Marwa if we can make if we can schedule a meeting for the case report to discuss the tasks and so on, if you are available. Thank you.
That would be great. I have no problem. Dr. Nader, do you have like an expected time where you can maybe give us some updates regarding more information about the case? And so
I will look into that after this meeting right away. I'll try
okay.
to get the information for you.
All
Send
right.
it in email.
Okay. Thank
Great.
you.
You're welcome. No problem. Azza?
Hi. Yeah, I raised my hand just. I was just want to follow up on Sumit's project. May I suggest like something
Sure.
I'm personally interested in to know the like combining both of our projects, depression in elderly and the length of the stay in the intensive care. Can we do that? It is more specific. Plus, I don't think it has been covered per se. Like, and by intensive care, I mean mechanical ventilation.
I think it's a great idea. The only thing I don't think we added that into the variables that we have. Did we? So maybe correct me.
Depression. I don't know the data. If so, Miss can.
Jack, so your thing is like patient whoever has a like pre-existing depression.
Yes, pre-existing depression and admitted to ICU in a mechanical ventilation and the length of stay in the on ICU.
So basically our variable is depression, and we are trying to see the length of ICU admission versus hospital admission, or like just only length of ICU admission.
Just only the ICU admission.
I don't think so. We have length of stay in the hospital and like ICU admission, but we don't have like length of ICU admission, that data. So for your specific, yeah, it is very
Okay.
specific. So, you know, we need to know the people who have a pre-existing depression and their ICU admission, day of ICU admission stay. So we don't have that. We have like length of hospital and the people need ICU or admission or yes or no,
Or
something.
admitted, yes or no. Okay. Yeah, I
Yeah.
got it.
Yeah.
Okay.
So, I mean, my suggestion is it can be done. So we can do something like that, like people who are geriatric population who have a history of depression or like.
Or it can, the incidence of, we can be like, we can take the length out of the equation. We can make it incidence of ICU admission in geriatric population with depression.
Yeah,
Is
so
that
what I'm
more?
saying is
Yeah.
probably like, you know, pre-existing depression and related to like hospital admission or like ICU admission, yes or
Yes.
no? Yeah, and like how much is there, you know, and then our mortality, we have mortality data also, so we can connect with that.
Exactly. Yes. Yes, we can do that. Yeah.
Something like that. Yeah. So
Something
like I think, you know, we need to, all of us, we need to look at the data very thoroughly and in detail, and then we can conceptualize our new things to our mind, and we need to play with that, like, you know, what information do we have and how can we put it all together and make it a like couple of different papers. I think it's a good idea. I was not, I think I did not pay attention that the data was in the app, as Dr. Nadir mentioned today. So that means we all have the access for the data. So I would like you, all of the fellows, if you know, everyone see the data very nicely and then, you know, very in detail, and then we can reach out to all of us and then, you know, like see how we can put together and make different papers.
Great. Excellent. So each one know what's the next step for you guys, right? Any other questions? Or Dalia, you raise your hand. Go ahead.
Hello, everyone. I wanted to ask about the case report. So up to now, we don't know anything about it. Like, what is the case, right or not?
Marwa, I think Ali and Marwa were working on this. I'm not sure who is in the team there as well. Go ahead,
Okay.
Marwa.
Can anyone participate in this or?
Yes, of course. Everyone is welcome to participate, definitely. Basically, just in brief, the case is about the possible effect of using intramuscular steroid in the effect of that on patients presenting with neuropsychiatric symptoms related to dementia. Okay.
Okay, so that's the case. All right.
Yeah.
All right. I want to participate on this.
Okay, definitely. I will count you in.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Another thing that I want to ask Dr. Nadia, that I posted my video last night, but I can't seem to find it. Did you receive it or not?
I can check that.
All right. Thank you.
No problem. Any other questions or any other comments? So I will let you know, Dalia. The next part, I think, is speaking about the videos. Thank you, Ali. Thank you, Dalia. And the rest, I know you are busy, and we extended the date maybe on the 14th. It shouldn't be a perfect thing. I'm not looking for top of the line thing. Just do your best and try to upload the thing. The goal here is for you to practice presentation and to improve on that. And the other goal is to learn about geriatric. So the slide will give you an idea about subject in geriatric. If you can just understand that, it will be easier for you to present, talk about it. And when you read the slides, it will be just for you to increase your confidence, your way of presenting things, and play around with the slides. So don't freak about it. Don't stress yourself. It shouldn't be maybe 20 minutes, half an hour. If you do it 2 times, I think you can be ready for you to submit.
Dr. Nadir,
Yes.
I'm sorry to interrupt while interrupting
Sure.
you.
Yeah.
So about the videos, I found that there is a slide, a slide about the topic. So we're going to do a different thing, that right? Like for instance, my topic is musculoskeletal disorders. So I did my literature, and I did a presentation, my own presentation. I'm not going like just to read that, the one that is already there, right?
It's up to you. If you want to use it, you can use it. It's just for practice for you. And if you
Okay.
want to present that without referring to any other, that's also an option. It's not for you to spend the whole time looking at the whole subject in your area. The slide itself, it has some information for you to learn about geriatric. If you want to add for your interest a couple of new information to the slide, let's say the slide was made in 2015 and maybe you found something interesting in 2019, maybe you can add that into your slide, saying in recent years we found this to be the case, something like that. So again, the idea is to use these slides. You can just present it itself without doing anything. So it's just a practice for you for presentation and improve of your speed or of your getting of the whatever things that we do subconsciously. That's one part. And the other part is because we are doing geriatric, when you read these slides, you will gain some knowledge about this aspect of geriatric medicine. Hopefully it will help you in the future, and hopefully it will help the other fellows when you present it in a way that makes sense to you. It will make sense to them, if that makes sense. I don't want you to spend the whole time creating something new, new slides, new presentation. That's not the objective. If you did it, that's good, that's great, you will benefit from that.
Right.
If you don't, if you didn't, don't plan on doing that unless you have ample of time and then you want to increase your scope. And that's well beyond what we want from you. That's will be great if you have the time and the energy to do that. Does that make things clear for you or for the rest?
Yes, it does.
Dr. Nadir, I have a question about, so can I present using that Kaltura? Is that okay? Like a presentation slide through MSU?
Yeah, you can present in any format, that's fine. Yeah.
Okay.
If you have it in video format, just copy the link and put it in there. I hope it's public.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah.
So if I change it to public, then I think anyone can say, but I can, as you, I mean, whoever have a MSU email, I can email them if I want. But if I publish it as a public, then everybody can see. Anyone.
Yeah. That's So let's do it as a public and then go from there. I think someone else wants to ask question. Sorry. Is it Dalia or someone else?
No.
What's that? Can you explain to me?
So sorry. So Cultura is like kind of a it's for MSU. You know, I think students and faculties and staff. So it's kind of the way like we, you know, the PowerPoint presentation along with my video. So it's like a you can edit it if you want, and you can like, you know, there is like so much good things for that Cultura. So I think whoever have email address for MSU, they are able to do it. But I think still you guys also are able to do it if like all fellows, I have a feeling, because there are some people I have seen, they don't have MSU email ID, still they're using it. So it's I feel like this is like better than Zoom, like using that you know, like things, and like it is easier for you to, because all the MSU students, they use it for their presentation slides and their conference, like all these things, like you, Dr. Nadir, you know, like uploaded the resident physician like presentation, those are all Cultura, like that's their, like, you know, very renowned one. So I like that, that's why I asked. As I'm a student, so we are using that, I have that access. But if you guys want to use that, I can send you the link, and how to use that, I can send you all the information if anybody is interested.
Why don't you do that, and whoever interested can use that information.
All right. After
And
the meeting, I'll email all of you.
excellent. And there are other ways of screen sharing or recording with your photo or your image. So that, I think, one of them. But go ahead, if whatever format, platform, or app you want to use, that will be great. Even on your phone, you can just record a screen recorder with your slides, and then you can present. Okay, sounds good. Any other comments or questions? So for next week, Mulham will present some, and then hopefully we'll have good news. And in the meantime, maybe tomorrow, some of you will meet to discuss about the projects and how we can tweak the abstracts to submit to AGS according to what they need. And hopefully, by the end of the day, Marwa, you will get some of the additional information you requested about the case. Mulham, go ahead.
Thank you, Dr. Nader. I want to share just a quick thing. Sorry for last week not being here. I did go through the recordings. I really enjoyed the presentation, Azza. I enjoyed that you went through the myth, the facts, and everything. And what was interesting that I've seen that you mentioned hypothetical situations for how it could have happened. The thing, for example, when you mentioned mRNA vaccine, will it change our DNA? Will it change our genetics and increase the risk of cancer and all that? You said hypothetically that would have happened. And that's something very interesting, really. And you mentioned even the tracer technology. And a funny fact you mentioned about we should be more scared about smartphones, social media, and web browsers in comparison to fluids, which there's no technology or device in such a small or fluid-like structure. Yeah, so I really enjoyed your presentation. And I think the COVID topics is really, really important. And it came to its importance last week because I did a transition. For the first time, I'm in public all the time now because of I transitioned from working online to working on the center in New York. So it was a tough week for me. Excuse me for not being here last week. Alhamdulillah, I had a support from Sumi and all the team members. She took the leadership role from me, and inshallah, I'll be taking it from today onwards, as everything, alhamdulillah, is stable at the moment. And also, yeah, also all the team, Yellow team, even Marwa mentioned she would have taken even more, and I know Wael also would have said the same. Thank you all, really. I appreciate your help. And thank you, Dr. Nader, for all the COVID topics. It's really helpful. The updates are important. I'm going through it, and it helped me while discussing and interacting. I have it with the students, medical students. They ask me, what would have happened here? What is that? And even with some others, in the public. So it is important to have this data as doctors, even if we're not involved in the medical field, we would be asked one moment and we need to be ready. And they take it very seriously. So thank you very much, really, Dr. Nader. I appreciate all the points and thank you.
Thank you. Actually, the whole work is done by you guys. So thank you, everyone. And it's a great job. And thank you for sharing and for your efforts. Great. Sumi, you want to add something?
Yeah, thank you, Mulham. I think you are always helpful for, I think, all of us. So it is our duty to help you if anyone needed. My question is, if you still want me to, as you are new on that place, if you need more time to warm up and if you need me to do this leadership for 1 more week or 2 more weeks, I'm happy to do that. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Sumi. I really appreciate that. But I can take it from now. Thank you.
Thank you all, and thank you, Mulham. One more thing, if you don't mind, I got some of you responding to the leaders about your teams and your project and who will get involved in what. But I think still I'm missing some data or some team leader didn't mention others. So if you can encourage each other team members to reach out to your team members to see if everyone is involved in a project or they are planning to do so, which one, and update me. And if there is a team leader didn't do that, can you reach out to them and see what's going on and let me get the information just to keep track, and also not to miss anyone. If they are interested in something, they need to be updated. I know we are 16 fellows, but most of the meetings, maybe 10, 12 will be in the meeting and a few will be missing. I'm not sure how they get the information if they miss the meeting, if there is a way for them to communicate with you through your WhatsApp or other. I hate to go along and all of a sudden in March or June, someone will say, oh, I didn't know you were working on this or that, because they skipped some of the meetings we discussed. Does that make sense to you guys? I hope it does. Anyways, any other comments? Go ahead, Sumi.
Oh, no, sorry. I just.
Okay. All right, Mulubaba.
Yeah, sorry. Yeah, it does make sense. Thank you so much for bringing that up. Yes, maybe at the beginning of the year, we're missing the minutes from the meetings and everything, but thank you so much, Ali. He has been updating us since he took the role of being the leader in the group. And yeah, I think the meetings are available on the apps as well. Thank you for that. So our colleague can catch up on that area. So we will encourage each other. And that's bring me to another point. I think we are due for our fellow meetings to select the next leader, unless Ali enjoyed this role and want to continue. We can set the time and follow up on the WhatsApp, so we won't take your time. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, Lubaba. So each team, they can rotate, and if one wants to stay longer, that's fine. In the app, I think also I try to put like a roster or a list where who will be next, but you can do whatever you decide as a team who will be and for how long. Great. Any other addition, any other questions, any other comments before we end this meeting?
And
all right. Yeah, go ahead.
I also sent a link in this chat box for that media space. If you guys have any questions while doing that, you can reach out to me. Thank you.
That's great. Thank you for sharing. All right. Thank you everyone for joining the team and the meeting and for your hard work. Thank you for the presentation and thank you for the information that you shared, everyone. I wish you all the best. Have a wonderful weekend and see you next week. And I hope I hear from those who are going to submit the abstract for AGS in the coming days. And Marwa, I'll send you the information soon. Thank you, everyone. Bye-bye.
Thank you.
Assalamu alaikum.
Thank you, Dr. Nader.
Thank you, Nader. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you, Dr. Nader.
Have a good day, everyone.
Have a great day.
Thank you, Dr. Nader. Thank you, everybody.
Thank you, everyone.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, everyone. Have a wonderful day.
Thank you, Ali. Bye-bye, everyone.